Hello everyone, this is Powell Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about a major snowstorm along with a strong May cold front that's going to feel a lot like March than May. So if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. Here is the overall surface map this morning for Monday, May the 10th. And you can see where the cooler temperatures are starting to fly here up here in the Dakotas. We got some freezing temperatures, even down to 39 in Denver, 50 in Los Angeles. There's the cold front has made it past the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And you can see where the warm sector is out here in 77 in Houston, 79 in Miami. And ahead of that cold front, you're still going to be susceptible of some severe weather today, and we've got a lot of rain to talk about as well as some very cold temperatures. So let's walk you through the watches and warnings, and we've got the winter storm watches out for Colorado, and we've got even freeze warnings happening in portions of Idaho and upper Wisconsin here. And then even some flash flood watches before in that warm sector. I know back here in southeast Texas yesterday, in and around the Nacogdoches area, they picked up 8 inches of rainfall. That flood waters is now receding, but now it's over New Orleans, dumping some very heavy rain this morning. So as we walk you through the day, you can see where the cold air lies. I've really expanded the view to the North American version. So everybody can kind of follow along, whether you live in Alaska, whether you live in Canada, whether you live down here in the Caribbean and much of the US here, where those colder temperatures, it's going to be well above average in Canada, starting to increase those above average temperatures and off the West Coast. Here's the chart down here at the bottom. So this darker red depicts your 15 to 20 degrees above average temperatures, and these purple temperatures, this purple area depicts a 20 degrees below average. So just for an example, say for example your average high temperature is 82 degrees in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. When you have purple, that's basically implying that the high is going to be in the low 60s, maybe 61, 62 degrees. So that's some definitely chillier air. This will continue to press further south as we get throughout the day. But you can see the warm sector down here to the south into southeast Texas, down into South Texas, and that is going to be some severe weather later on this afternoon as that cold front continues to press southward. There's your rain chances. They're going to be kind of overrunning conditions because that stalled front in along southeast Texas, and that's going to be dumping some very heavy rain into the southern regions, get into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And there's your snow going to be starting to fly, starting to be later on this afternoon in the mountain regions of Colorado. But I do feel as we get into the evening hours, it's going to press into portions of Denver with some more snow for them. So, but out ahead of that, we got some severe weather still to talk about because that cold front is going to be sagging down to the south. And there's the warm sector way down here. So it's going to be very hot down here into Del Rio, into Laredo. That's where they have that hatched risk of that very large hail later on this afternoon. So if you live in and around the Laredo area, Del Rio, Eagle Pass area, Uvalde, those areas are going to be a little bit more susceptible for seeing those larger hailstones. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk for a huge chunk into Texas. A lot of this is, I think, going to be a little bit overdone. I don't really expect too much hail, especially further north you go into Texas today. But yeah, you can't rule out with these thunderstorms to have some kind of a small type size hail and then up to quarter size in around South Texas, getting into southern regions. And there is a little pocket over here in the Carolinas that could see some severe weather later on this afternoon ahead of that, in that warm sector. But as we go into Tuesday, yeah, that you can see the colder air continue to press those purple anomalies. That is your 30 degrees below average temperatures. So yeah, this is kind of very rare for the second week of May, and all that purple showing up in much of Kansas and Oklahoma and parts of Texas. And you can see it only drops to that not much further south. I mean, parts of Houston's won't even see this cold front, as those colder anomalies will be well to into the North Texas, and that'll eventually swing into Arkansas as well, but and more or less modify as it shifts off to the east. As we go into that Tuesday sector, we have a stronger disturbance that's going to be diving down from the northwest. That's going to be keeping the snow chance alive into Colorado, and that's going to have those overrunning conditions. And I do feel the heaviest rains are going to be taking place. This is not severe weather. This is just some soaking rains into Kansas, into Oklahoma, and a good chunk of Texas now, going into Louisiana, going into Mississippi with some heavier light to moderate rain, and picking up some pretty big totals as we go through the day on Tuesday. But yeah, you can see the expanded version of that colder air continues to funnel down to the south. As we go into Wednesday, that's when it really amplifies and just takes over for a good chunk of the central and eastern 2/3. It's well above average out west. It's well above average in Canada. It's above average in Alaska. So that puts the cold underneath. And you've got those 20 and 30 degree below average anomalies sinking all the way a little bit further south now into Texas, into Louisiana, and much of the South. I mean, this is going to be very rare for the second week of May. And like I mentioned, it's going to feel a lot like March standards with these colder anomalies, 20, 25, almost 30 degrees below average temperatures at times. So definitely some chilly stuff on the way. So as we go into Wednesday, yeah, we continue those rain chances into Texas, where it's just going to be having that overrunning event, kind of all throughout the week, with some heavier rains extending all the way down into South Texas now, much of the South, going into the Southeast now as we dry out, and we can't buy a drop out west where it's going to be warm. And the ridge will be taken over, and there's not going to be much rain underneath that, with those very warm anomalies continue to press a little bit further off into the east. By the time we get into Thursday, May the 13th, you can definitely see where the cold air lies. So we remain below average for much of the week, for much of the South and the Southeast, or much of the eastern 2/3. And then finally, Florida will start to feel a little bit, at least the panhandle of Florida, from these cooler temperatures as we go into Thursday. As we swing into surface map on Thursday, we can definitely see we start to dry out in Texas. So I think the rain more or less ends in Texas and much of the South, as that system will continue to press further southeast. And that will be over Florida by then, as a lot of the snow will retreat well up into Canada and to the northern region. So yeah, as we go into Friday, here's your anomaly still. Continued warming out west. We still remain below average, not as intense as it was on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but still below average temperatures for your May 14th time frame, as these will just continue to press a little bit further southeast as we go throughout the week. There's your surface map for Friday. Yeah, I mean, you can see that it continues to press a little bit further. We kind of dry out in a good chunk of the country as those cooler temperatures continue to take a firm grip over the central and eastern 2/3. As we go into Saturday, yeah, we try to modify it a little bit further. So we're not nearly as extreme. We still have the ridge out west. We still got the ridge up in Canada, but we still have those below average temperatures hanging on for all week long, guys. So it's going to be a chillier week for the second week of May coming up for a good chunk of the central and eastern 2/3 of the country. As we go into Saturday, yeah, we continue to modify. There's not much precipitation happening for much of the west, much of the south here. We do have a little narrow banding coming through the central part of the U.S., but these are just kind of a sporadic showers up here into the northeast as well. And you can see by Sunday we continue to modify, and it's going to be more or less an average day. I mean, those extreme colder temperatures will start to relax. We start to bring in some of the ridge kind of filtering back in. So it's going to be more or less more of an average, May 16th day coming up for the middle of the month by the time we get into Sunday. And then you can see by Sunday with those warmer temperatures coming back in. I mean, yeah, your average highs are in the low 80s by then. So these are just more or less your average day, and your wettest month is May. So it's not that unusual to see, sporadic, isolated rain showers in and around the area during this time of year for much of the south and into the southeast. But as you look at the precipitation for the next 7 days, you can definitely see in the expanded version on the North American view where the precipitation will lie. And man, these whites stand out. This is a weekly rainfall, guys. There's not much happening out west with the ridge builds. It just deepens, and you continue to dry out west. And then as we get into the central part of the U.S., as these troughs and cold fronts meet up with these overrunning conditions, you've got several inches of rainfall happening into Texas, and you could even have some flooding rains. It's taking advantage of these warmer Gulf temperatures already and be setting the stage. And that's why they have those flood watches already in place for portions of Louisiana and southern Mississippi and southern Alabama. Yeah, that's going to be more or less your bullseye of 5 to 8 inches of rain possibly. And then it'll be more of a 1 to 3 inches as we go into portions of Florida, as we go into Georgia, as we get up into the Carolinas, and even in the Northeast. You're probably looking at about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall throughout the week. The European models basically implying the same thing, setting up the stage for much of Texas, much of the Southeast, getting into the Carolinas with, again, that 1 to 2 inch swath for a good chunk of the central part of the U.S. and getting into the Northeast, and then not much rain happening out west. There's your snow with our major snowstorm that's going to be happening for Monday, today into Tuesday, with some heavier snows getting into the higher elevations, but it's really going to start cranking later on this afternoon, getting into the overnight hours, going into Tuesday into Colorado, where they'll just add to their heavier snowfall totals, but they've seen in like 37 years in this part of the country. So this continues to remain a very active winter season, and those totals will be pretty impressive after we get all said and done, after this colder air tries to finally subside. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.